Welcome everyone to Raw Sport. My name is Ahmed Al Houli. My co-host, Mr. Tony Sheen, joins me on this awesome Friday in Melbourne. Tony, how are you, buddy?
Great to be with you. I don't know whether it's awesome, but it's cold. But anyway, aside from the ordinary weather in Melbourne, our next guest, I think, is going to give us some sunshine verbally anyway.
And guess what, Tony? Another big show, massive show, this one. We have a very special guest. Mr. Andrew Moloney joins us on the show. Andrew, welcome, buddy. How's things?
G'day, Ahmed. G'day, Tony. Thanks for having me on, guys. Everything is going great. Everything's on track. And, almost 2 weeks to go. So getting excited now.
Well, Andrew, where are you talking to us from today?
From my place in Coolangatta on the Gold Coast. Beautiful spot. And I agree with you. The weather up here is much better than Melbourne. That's why we made the move.
Ahmed, so me and you look like milk bottles, and Andrew looks like a bronze statue ready to go.
Mate, he's shining bright, mate. Look at him. He's all look nice and fresh. He must be all the great weather in Queensland. All right, Andrew, big fight card. Kambosos Lomachenko. You're on the fight card. Hopefully, a huge win coming up. What does this fight mean to you, buddy?
Yeah, that's right. It's a massive card. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs watching from all over the world, and always, a pleasure to fight in front of a packed house in Australia. Travelled a lot in the last few years, so it's always good to be fighting back at home on the Aussie turf, and a massive fight for me. I'm fighting for the interim world title against a very good former world champion from Mexico, and a win in this fight really puts me into some massive fights and sets up a big 12 months ahead. So I need to make sure I win this fight and put on a really good performance, and then it opens up some massive doors.
Andrew, what do you know about the Mexican Pedro Rivera?
Yeah, I've studied him quite a lot. We were actually in talks to fight last year for a WBC world title eliminator. We basically started training for Rivera back then, and then I got the call to fight Junto Nakatani for the WBO world title. So we changed route and went that direction, but I was already really familiar with Rivera. I knew his style. I'd watched plenty of his fights, and so then when his name got put up for this fight, it was very easy to switch into camp for him. Studied him a lot over the last few weeks, and I know what he does well and what he doesn't, and I know what I've got to do to beat him.
Well, and speaking of that, what risks does he pose?
Oh, he's a very good fighter. He's a former world champion. He's extremely experienced. He's had nearly 50 professional fights. Has fought at the top level. He was a world champion a long time ago, actually. Back in 2014, 2015, he was a world champion. And he's only lost against other world champions and really at the top level. And all those losses have been only split decision or majority decisions. No one's beat him convincingly. So that's what I plan on doing. I really, want to make a statement in this fight and win convincingly and show that I'm, at the top of this division.
Andrew, has it been difficult finding sparring partners to replicate his style?
Nah, not for this guy. He's that's the one, I suppose, a big positive for fighting Rivera. He's a orthodox fighter, sort of standard height for this weight division. Pretty standard style, really, quite textbook. He's very fundamentally sound, but that makes it quite easy to prepare and easy to find sparring partners. So that part has been really, really good.
So, sorry, Ahmed, go on.
No, go on.
No, I was just going to ask Andrew, what in terms of timelines, we're just over 2 weeks, as you said, till fight night on the 12th of May. When do you head over to Perth?
I was going to go over to Perth on the Monday of fight week, so 6 days before the fight. Get all the hard training done here, and then just head over to Perth and adjust to the time difference and do all the the fight week press conferences and public training and weigh-in and stuff like that. But all the hard work will get done here at home and then head over there just for fight week.
Is it as simple as your man Tony Tolles? Does he put you up the front of the plane? Do you work out, your diet, the blood flow through to your legs? You want to be able to stretch out without having to stress out when you arrive in Perth?
Yeah, well, funny saying that, actually. This is the first time in my life I'm flying business class, so I'm looking forward to that. Not that I really need it when I'm, 5 foot nothing. I can sleep anywhere, but yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah, that's it. So, but yeah, looking forward to experiencing business class for the first time, and yeah, I'll be nice and comfortable on the way over.
Wow. Andrew, you guys have fought a lot overseas, which means Australia hasn't had the opportunity to see you in a lot of the big fights. This is an opportunity for you, which I'm sure Perth will be pretty much sold out and buzzing. Do you feel the Australian media hasn't really got behind you guys enough, like they have behind other fighters?
Yeah, I mean, it's the way, I suppose it's the way it is. Boxing's never really got a huge amount of recognition in Australia. We've got other sports that really take the limelight away, I suppose. And yeah, fighting overseas quite a lot over the last few years and throughout our career has probably not helped that situation as well. But yeah, that's what makes it even more important and more exciting for me to fight on a big card like this in Australia, and yeah, introduce myself to a lot of fans that don't know who I am and show them what I'm all about, and hopefully they'll continue to follow my career going forward.
Well, speaking of, Jonathan Brown has given your brother a wide berth and won't fly to Japan, but apparently he's going to walk you out in Perth.
Yeah, that's right. I'm his favourite, so he's making the trip to Perth, and yeah, he's been a good luck charm carrying the flag out. We haven't lost with him doing that, so he's coming over, and we'll make sure he's got the flag in his hand to walk us out.
So, how did you and your brother formulate the relationship with Jonathan Brown, the three-time premiership star from the Brisbane Lions?
Through our coach, actually, Angelo Hyder. He's a good mate with Brownie, and the flag bearer situation actually started years ago between those two. Brownie was actually on his honeymoon over in America when Angelo had a world champion Vic Darchinyan fighting over there, and yeah, supposed to be on his honeymoon, but ended up at the boxing and spent the whole time basically watching Vic Darchinyan train, and then was there at the fight. So Angelo gave him the flag to walk out on the fight night, and Vic won that fight, and that's what started this whole situation. So we met Brownie years ago now, and he's a legend. So I get along really well with Brownie, and he lives not too far from us, so he comes to the gym sometimes and watches us train. And his young fella Jack's into his boxing and been doing a bit of training in the gym. So yeah, get along well with Brownie, and yeah, he's a good luck charm. So grateful he's able to make it over to Perth and carry the flag out once again.
Andrew, they reckon Brownie goes all right with his top off in terms of if he was forced to throw him, he might go all right.
Yeah, I think I've seen Brownie do a little bit of boxing. Yeah, he goes all right. And his young fella Jack goes well too. Actually, yeah, his first sparring session we did a few weeks ago, I jumped in the ring with him and moved around, and yeah, he's got a bit of a future if that's what he wants to do. A little southpaw, and yeah, got a bit of power in the hands.
Bit of grunt from the old man.
Yeah, that's it. I think he's got that from the old man, and yeah, he's obviously got the genetics of Brownie, who's a supreme athlete. So whatever he decides to do, I'm sure he'll be good at.
Andrew, you're one of the rare Australian athletes who's won a Commonwealth Games gold medal. Where does that rank in your career amongst achievements?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's hard to pick a winner out of that and becoming world champion in 2019. But I think the Commonwealth Games, it was so special because it was over, 10 days or so, and the build up to that was just so long. I went to the 2010 Commonwealth Games and came home empty-handed and was heartbroken, and then had to wait 4 years to have another crack, and thought about winning. All I wanted really, to be honest with you, was to win a medal. I would have been happy with the bronze. No one in the team won a medal at all in 2010, and I thought if I can at least get a bronze, I'll be over the moon. And trained my butt off and got over there, 4 years later in 2014, and took one fight at a time and secured that bronze medal, and then had a look at who was still in the field and thought, I can win this. And that's what I did. Went on and I had 4 fights in 8 days, and so much pressure on myself. I didn't sleep hardly for the whole time, and constantly making weight each day for a fight, which was difficult. And managed to win gold in front of a wild Glasgow crowd. And it's pretty hard to top that moment. That was extremely special, and something I'll always remember. It feels like a lifetime ago now, but it's very, very special moment in my life.
Do you believe it helped elevate your pathway and simplify it to be signed by Top Rank and such a corporation?
Yeah, I think it probably played part. I think it probably helped me early in my professional career to be put on some bigger cards, and was lucky enough to fight on a few of the Danny Green undercards in front of huge audiences, and that helped us, sort of catapult my career. And then it was just up to just keep winning, and keep stepping up the level. And my team have done an outstanding job of creating my pathway to a world title, and then signing to Top Rank, which have been amazing for me and my brother. We've been with them for about 4 years now, and they've given us some huge opportunities to headline some big cards and really develop our name in America. And as you touched on earlier, probably haven't created as big of a fan base as we'd like here in Australia, but I feel like we're more well known in America than what we are here. We get recognised a little bit over there in the States, and over here, we know who we are. So it's quite funny, but our career has been, I'm really happy with the way things have mapped out. But now I think the final thing to do is for me to win a world title at the same time as my brother. That's been our dream for a long time now, and both have those belts and both headline huge shows here where we can both be on the card and do a big double header and really establish a fan base here in Australia.
Well, we hope you two can actually accomplish that at the same time. Just speaking of Top Rank, there's a bit of a whisper going around that Bob Arum and Derek Harmon are on their way to Australia next week. Are you aware of that?
I wasn't sure it was next week, but I did hear that Bob was going to make his way over, and Derek's a good mate of mine. He's an absolute gentleman. That's good news that they're coming over nice and early, and looking forward to seeing Bob. It's amazing that he's able to do what he does and travel around the world, and just he's such a freaking flyer for someone who's 92 years old. It's amazing. He's always there in the front row from the start of the show to the end. Even at that age, it's amazing. He's an absolute legend of the sport.
Does he help push your career and your profile back over in the States?
Yeah, definitely. We've got I believe, a really good relationship with Bob. I think it all sort of started in COVID when they couldn't really get any fighters over there to America, and they couldn't even get guys to come over from Mexico, and we somehow managed to make our way over there from Australia, and didn't have a fight locked in at that stage, but we just showed up at the office and said, we're ready to fight tomorrow if you can get us on. We're here and we're ready, and he gave us some great opportunities to headline shows during COVID when there was no crowd, and we kept the ball rolling for them, and they were able to put shows together and put content out on ESPN, which I think they were grateful that we were able to do that. And that created a really good relationship between us and Bob. And yeah, we always catch up every time we get over to America and go into the office and see him. And it's a pinch yourself moment every time when you sit in the office speaking with Bob, who's, as I said, just an absolute legend of the sport and has promoted some of the best fighters that have existed way back to Muhammad Ali. So it's pretty special.
Andrew, you mentioned you pinch yourself moments. Many Australian fighters would literally do anything to be in that position. Can you take us a bit behind the scenes? What's it like dealing with these corporations, fighting in America, the mecca of, and being and training out of the mecca of boxing in Las Vegas, so on and so on? What's it all like? I mean, you're saying that you've lived it, you've experienced it, but I feel not enough fighters actually take us with them through that experience, because there's thousands of fighters back home or now here in Australia that would kill to be there. I mean, and I feel that whole experience is sort of not captured enough.
Yeah, you're right, and it's a funny one because being an athlete, you don't often sort of stop and reflect on what you're doing and where you are. You're always thinking about what's next and striving to achieve more and looking into the future. And yeah, it's not often even myself that I think, of where I actually am and what I've done in my career and some of the moments I've been fortunate enough to to have throughout my career and my life. And yeah, I suppose there's times like this where you talk about it that you really think I'm extremely blessed to have experienced the things I have in my career, and I hope the best is yet to come, and I'm sure there's plenty more left in the story of Andrew Moloney. But yeah, to be if I thought back when I was 16, 17 starting boxing, that I would be signed to Top Rank and to be, headlining shows in America at the MGM Grand, and to be featured on like a card like Lomachenko, Haney, and yeah, I fought on Terence Crawford undercards, a co-feature to Terence Crawford, Cal Brook. I fought on some pretty huge shows, and yeah, promoted by the best promotional company in the world for years now, and I've been world champion and Commonwealth Games gold medalist. Yeah, I think if I think about it, it feels like a dream, and I'm extremely lucky and grateful that I've been able to achieve the things I have. Even though boxing is an individual sport, I couldn't have done it without my team and my sponsors and everyone who's supported me for over the years. So there's a lot of people that I'm really grateful for helping make it happen, and I've had to work extremely hard. It's not an easy sport, that's for sure. Sometimes I think, why did I choose this for a living? But it's the moments like we just spoke of that make it all worthwhile and make all the hard work. Yeah, you think when it's that moment you achieve those special things, you think I would have done this 10 times over. And that's what motivates me to keep working hard. I know that I hope I've still got a few years ahead of me, but I know the end is coming up. So I'm even more motivated and even more focused at the moment to get the absolute most I can out of myself and to get hold of another world title at least as a minimum. And I really do feel like the best is yet to come. And the experience of 30 professional fights and 80 odd amateur fights is all starting to really pay off now, I believe. And this training camp, I've been boxing better than I ever have in my whole life. And hopefully on May 12th, you'll see the best performance of my career.
Hey, on Wednesday, we spoke with your brother, Jason. You both grew up in the Outer East in Melbourne. Both were AFL-loving kids. Do you ever think about the alternative of, pursuing your dream in AFL?
Nah, not really, to be honest, mate. I think we made the wise choice because I can't see it. Yeah, I'm just over 5 foot, 5'4" or something. I think AFL would have gone down too well. So yeah, we were lucky that we found boxing when we did, and I still enjoy AFL. I really don't get to watch it much these days. Um, Between following boxing and having 2 young kids, life's pretty hectic at the moment. So I haven't watched much footy in the last few years, but I do miss the days of playing with your mates in those team sports. But yeah, I don't think the footy would have gone that far. Certainly not as far as we've been able to go in the boxing. So certainly a good decision.
Well, you might have to offer your services up to the Gold Coast Suns.
We actually helped him out a few years ago during the pre-season. Did some boxing with the Suns to get them ready for the season ahead, and yeah, I could have chucked on a jersey and given them a hand. They didn't go too well that year, unfortunately. So maybe we didn't work them hard enough. But yeah, maybe we should have chucked on the jersey and had a run around the field.
Well, speaking of getting others fit, you're 33. You're going in for your 30th fight in a couple of weeks. How's your body?
My body's really good, to be honest. And yeah, I'm actually one ahead of Jason. This is my 31st pro fight coming up. I clicked over the 30 in December last year, and yeah, I consider myself a veteran now. So 31st coming up, and yeah, it's funny. I'm 33, and if I had a thought about this years ago, I would have thought that I'd be an old man by 33 and probably retired. But my body feels great. I really look after myself inside and outside the ring and live a clean, healthy lifestyle. And hopefully that'll give me a few more years ahead because, yeah, the body feels great.
How do you see boxing currently in Australia, the state of boxing? Are you happy with where it's at?
Yeah, I think you got to be really. Although things have gone a little bit south in the last few months with losing a few world champions, but my brother's still there as world champion, and I'll join him very soon. And we've just got so many guys that are really at that top level now that are either fighting for world champions or former world champions, or really knocking on the doorstep of becoming world champions themselves. It's pretty exciting. I think back to when I was younger, and I suppose every time you'd see an Aussie on that real world stage, we seem to come up short. But these days, the tide's really turned, and the Aussies are really starting to make a name for ourselves, I think, on the world stage, and people are starting to recognise that, and starting to take the Australians a lot more serious. So yeah, it certainly is a great era at the moment, and hopefully for the remainder of this year, we're able to pick up a few more world titles and really put a stamp on this great era in Australian boxing.
Well, Andrew, how good is it? We've got Queensland's Angelo DiCarlo, who's just signed with Channel 7. We've got Danny Green over in Perth, who's just signed with Stan, the streaming service connected to Channel 9. And then we've also got the No Limit boys connected to Fox Sports and News Corp and Main Event. So from a media perspective, we couldn't be in a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well said. It's great to see that there's a bit of competition now amongst the promoters, and there's multiple ways you can watch boxing. It was just sort of Fox for many years, and then No Limit sort of got a hold on that. So now it's great to see a bit of competition, and boxing on free to air and boxing on Stan. And the promoters, I think, are really up their level. The shows they're putting on these days, and top fighters fighting top fighters and testing themselves throughout their career or early on in their career is really good to see. And it's great that Greeny's getting back into it. I'm looking forward to seeing his show in a month or so's time. Our gym mate Alex Winwood has a big fight on that card, so I'm looking forward to seeing that one. And anything Greeny does, he does well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Andrew, you mentioned something very important there. You said fighters are getting tested a lot earlier in their career. Do you believe that's behind the success now that we've had recently in this new generation of world champions?
Yeah, I think that probably has part to play in that. And I think also because the fights are on these big platforms now, they can't afford to put fights on there that are just an A side versus an average fighter that everyone knows who's going to win the fight before they
Tie.
step into the
Yeah.
ring.
Yeah.
It forces them to put in 50-50 matchups and guys to test themselves. If they want to be on that platform, they have to make the leap and have to test themselves and have to be in a quality matchup. And I think that's why we're starting to see, people test themselves. And you're starting to see a few guys lose, unfortunately. But I hate that whole protect your record zero thing that Mayweather sort of made so big over his career. I like to see the best fight the best, and if someone takes a loss, then it's not the end of the world, and it shouldn't be. We want to see the best fight the best, and people can't care so much about the O, because if you want the best to fight each other, someone has to lose, and that doesn't mean it's the end of your career. You learn a lot more from your losses, as I've experienced throughout my career, than you do your wins, and it forces you to up your game.
Was it a tough comeback from your losses? Like, given that expectation that Mayweather set that you always have to have a zero, was it tough to come back from those losses and climb back up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially the money dropping so much.
Yes, yeah, that hurts a lot, definitely. But it's not it's the pain of the loss and the dent in your pride and letting yourself down and your team down is what it feels like. Um, so many people that, as I mentioned earlier, that have helped me throughout my career and backed me and supported me, and you really do feel like you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting down a lot of other people. And the losses that I had to, that I've endured in my career were extremely difficult. Um, but what it does is it really gives you that motivation. You get back in the gym, and that thought is always there. You always remember those losses, and there's so many times throughout training that I think of that moment, and that makes me push so much harder. You think you got nothing left, and then you think about losing by a round or just losing a fight that for a world title, and you think I need to push here, and it gets you through, and it's helped me to improve so much as a fighter, I believe. And I know now that I can't afford to lose another fight in my career, so I'm working extremely hard to make sure that I become world champion again, and I know that I can't lose another fight on the way to that.
You will, brother. You will. Is there one person in your life that you would say is your mentor, somebody that you fall back on, who's made a huge change in your life?
Yeah. Well, I think my coach Angelo Hyder, I would say, takes that spot. We moved up from Melbourne to train with Angelo 7 years ago, and he showed us what it takes to be at that elite level. He's trained many world champions in the past, and he showed us what it takes to be world champion. And he really guides us and has guided our career, and it shows us basically what you need to do in and out of the ring to become world champion. And he's been massive in our career, and moving up here was the best thing we did. I'd say it's him, and I'll also have to give a shout out to Danny Green, who we mentioned earlier, who was a real mentor in our career. He was my favourite fighter growing up as a kid, and was lucky enough to form a good relationship with Greeny. And he actually created the team we have around us. He introduced us to our manager Tony and our trainer Angelo, and he basically built the team we have around us now. So he played a massive part in getting us to where we are today, and setting us up for success. So a shout out to Greeny as well.
Hey, Andrew, speaking of Greeny and Angelo, you don't get too many bigger names in Australian boxing, but that leads me to my next question. Is there anybody that you've either wanted to meet and or met in the boxing world that intimidated you or you were overawed by?
Intimidated, yeah. Mike Tyson, he was pretty bloody intimidating, I tell you. Even now at this age, we met him once and had a chat, and he was actually really nice bloke to us, but you look into his eyes and you can just, he's a scary dude. I know now why most of the people he came up against basically shit himself, because he's a very scary man, that's for sure.
Where'd you meet him?
It was in Chicago, actually. He was a promoter at that stage, and we were over there as amateurs for a fight, and went along to his promotion and met him. And the security, actually, we were trying to get to Mike to get a photo and a signature, and the security wasn't going to let us. And Mike saw the security wasn't going to let us through and said, no, let him through. And we had a chat to him for a few minutes, and he's actually a really nice bloke. And but yeah, as I said, you look into his eyes and you think, geez, he's still a scary dude. You wouldn't want to get on his wrong side, that's for sure.
Great story.
Andrew, you've been amazing, mate. Honestly, it's been awesome to chat to yourself and your brother. We've extracted so much valuable information and some awesome stories like the Tyson one. It's probably be a bit of a headline for us, actually. Tony, before we wrap things up, do you have any last questions?
Yeah, last question. When you win in Perth, you got to talk to us the next day.
Wow.
Yep, absolutely. We can do that for sure.
Perfect.
Andrew, any parting words, brother?
No, just thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate you, introducing us to more fans here in Australia, and I really hope that everyone tunes in on May 12. It's going to be an awesome show, a huge event here in Australia to have someone like Vasyl Lomachenko come out to Australia, and 3 world titles on the card, and hopefully we'll have 3 world champions in Australia on May 12, and hopefully you will continue to follow my career going forward. So thank you very much for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Well, on behalf of all of Australia, mate, we'll be supporting you, and best of luck.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. We'll catch you on the next episode of Raw Sport. Take care, everyone. Thank you, guys.